Hello and welcome back to part 8 of this 10-part Formula 1 2023 season review. Today we're going to be talking all about Ferrari. We're going to be talking about Charles Leclerc, Fred Vasseur, how I think they've got on this season, even Carlos Sainz's victory in Singapore. Obviously we've already done every other team so far, so we've done Williams, we've done Haas, we've done AlphaTauri, we've done Alpine, we've done Aston Martin and McLaren, and the next few videos are going to be the big ones, the top 3 of Ferrari, Mercedes and Red Bull.
It's just come to my attention, 63% of you are not subscribed. What are you doing? Click that red button right now.
So, getting into this video, let's just remember and recap the season. Ferrari spent a lot of the season, especially early on, struggling with tyre degradation. This led to Mercedes and Aston Martin even building a gap. Luckily, throughout the season, Ferrari were able to counteract that early struggles with some really good results, most notably Carlos Sainz in Singapore, a result which almost helped aid them to P2 in the championship. But with them being part 8 on this list, as you can tell, they are third, and that is where they finished the season. They were about 4 points behind Mercedes at the end of the championship. Now, let's take a look into Ferrari. Now, as you can see on the screen now, we have Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Leclerc obviously bettering Carlos Sainz with 206 points and 6 podiums, but Carlos Sainz was able to get a win to his name. He only had 3 podiums though this season. As you can see by the range of results just underneath here, you can see that some of the drivers really struggled. You can see Leclerc had a few early DNFs. You can see that Sainz at the back end had a P18. Leclerc had a few DNFs later on in the season too. Some big things which obviously cost them in the battle against Mercedes. Like in Abu Dhabi, Mercedes had 2 drivers in the points, whereas Ferrari only had Charles Leclerc. At Sao Paulo, Sainz finished P6, but Leclerc didn't finish. And you've got USA, like a big mishap for Ferrari, which if they didn't have the plank wear issue, which Lewis Hamilton had, then they would have been ahead of them in the championship. In Qatar, Sainz had a DNF. So all these things add up to what cost them in the championship. So let's scroll down now and let's look at their 2023 statistics. Obviously, they are the only team other than Red Bull to win a proper Grand Prix. Obviously, Oscar Piastri won in the sprint race in Qatar, but they're the only team to collect a win this season in a proper Grand Prix. They obtained 6 pole positions throughout the season. Most of them were for Charles Leclerc, who has some real incredible qualifying pace, but unfortunately the car just isn't there to match on race trim. They got 9 podiums this season. They finished in the top 5 21 times, finishing in the points 34 times. Obviously, as I've previously mentioned, they finished P3 in the championship on 406 points. They were a mere 3 points behind Mercedes, who finished on 409. They collected 4 DNFs this season. Obviously, I think they were mainly for Leclerc, which obviously cost them massively this season. They had an average race finish result of 7.86 and an average qualifying result of 4.91. I think that just shows Ferrari's difference in 1-lap pace to race pace. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the drivers. So if we scroll up here and click on Charles Leclerc, let's just scroll down and take a look at his season. So here we go. So Charles Leclerc, as you can see there on race head-to-head, Charles Leclerc won 12-10 against Carlos Sainz, and in qualifying it was 15-7. So as you can see on this graph here with all the GPs, you can see Leclerc had 2 DNFs in the first 4 races. He was out of the points in Spain. He then had 3 DNFs in the final 12 races, which obviously led to them not reaching their full potential of second in the championship. Obviously, no one this season was challenging Red Bull. But let's now go and look at his statistics for the season. Obviously, Charles Leclerc was unable to gain a victory this season, with only Red Bull drivers and Carlos Sainz being able to do that. But he did get 4 pole positions, 6 podiums, and he finished in the top 5 11 times. Charles Leclerc, as you can see here, finished in the points 16 times, which was very important for the season, as the only time he didn't finish in the points where he finished a race was Spain. He finished 5th in the championship behind Fernando Alonso, but they were level on points, but he finished behind on countback. As you can see, he had an average finish position of 8.23 and an average qualifying result of 4.45. Very impressive results, especially qualifying wise. The Ferrari this season has been incredible to qualify, and honestly, if they had race pace, I think Charles Leclerc would have been able to fight for the title this season, because in qualifying is just something else. He can take Max Verstappen off his pedestal of P1 and he can put it there, and it's shown that if he has a car capable, he can battle Max Verstappen. We saw it at the start of the 2022 season, but obviously that didn't last very long until Ferrari had a quite drastic drop off and nearly lost P2 last year. So now let's go back up and let's take a look at Carlos Sainz. If we then go on to drivers here and we scroll down, where is Carlos? Carlos is here. Let's look at Carlos now. So we've already spoken about the race head-to-head. Now let's talk about Carlos in general. So as you can see, Carlos finished outside of the points on a few occasions, collecting 2 DNFs along the way, but his most notable performance was in Singapore. It was a very Ferrari-esque weekend. They got a pole position and he started on the medium tire, and because of the way the Singapore GP is, it's hard to overtake. He was just backing up. There was never a full push time for Carlos Sainz during that race, and especially during the end of the race when you had the 2 Mercedes hard charging back through the field, and obviously Carlos Sainz just didn't ever go for it, which then led to Lando Norris being in the DRS, and Lewis Hamilton, George Russell couldn't get past Norris when he had the DRS. So, and obviously as we saw, Russell put it in the wall, which obviously ended up with Lewis finishing P3. So as we can see, there wasn't many occasions where he finished outside the points, but now let's get into the seasonal statistics. So as we can see, he won in Singapore. That's his 1 win for the season. He collected 2 pole positions and 3 podiums. He had 10 top 5 finishes and 18 points finishes. He finished P7 in the championship on 200 points, just 6 points behind finishing 4th. He had 1 DNF this season, although above it says 2. I'm sure he had 2. He had an average finish position of 7.5 and an average qualifying position of 5.36. It is, especially with qualifying with this Ferrari, it is a very, very good car. And the aim for next season has to be, they have to be able to put together a car that is good enough in race trim, because they've not quite done that yet, and they haven't won a championship since 2007. So I'm pretty sure that Fred Vasseur, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz will be looking into winning next year's championship. Let's just come back onto this view. Obviously, they'll be looking to win the championship next year, as a lot of teams will. But will they be able to bridge that gap to Red Bull? Sorry, I don't think so. I think next season is going to be a very, very iffy season. I think that there's a lot of like Ferrari and Mercedes for me have the most to gain. Both teams started off on the back foot this season, and they go into next season both trying new philosophies and new concepts. I'd like to know what you think about Ferrari. So let me know down in the comments what you think they'll do next year. Let me know what you thought about their season. Let me know if you think Leclerc deserved to finish ahead of Sainz. And yeah, so like, comment, subscribe, and join me tomorrow for part 9 of this series, where I'll be talking about Mercedes, why I believe that they have the most to gain in the winter. And then obviously on Friday, I think it'll come out, we'll talk all about Red Bull. Obviously, we know how they've been this season. Very, very consistent. Max Verstappen has been on another planet, but is there more to it? Is it all about the car? We'll find out. I'll let you know my opinions in that video. So I just want to thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and you'll be able to see the next part of this video tomorrow. So I'll see you later. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula 1 and football weekend.